Hey, first of all, thank you all for coming. I know that there's a lot of choices out here that you can do today. There's lots of great talks going on, so it really means a lot for me that you could spend this hour with me reviewing some social media. So what I wanted to do today was really review some of the best practices that we use. And my hopes is that you can hear some of our experiences and be able to pull some value from those experiences and apply those to your marketing. Does that sound good? All right, perfect. So when I'm talking about Facebook today and the Facebook pages, I'm talking about the business page. Now there's two different ones. We've got a personal page and you have a business page. So anything that I'm referring to today, I'm talking about the business page. So with that, imagine that you have 100 fans of your business and you post something on social, on Facebook. How many people out of those 100 fans are gonna see your Facebook post? None? Half. Does anybody else have any idea, if you have 100 fans, how many are gonna see your post? Two. Two people will see your post if you have 100 fans. So that wasn't the case in 2013, 100% would see it. We'll get to that here in a minute, but yeah, right now, 2% is seeing your posts. On your business page, has anybody here posted something that ever received 1,000 likes from a Facebook post? Anyone? Let me rephrase that. I know what you're talking. How many received 1,000 organic likes? Non-paid. Okay. Very good. How did you guys get them? Go ahead first, Walt.
Have very high fan base as far as that are following the post, and create enough something that's engaging and intriguing enough where they in turn share it, remodify it to carry on the message and get everyone else's attention, so it builds up organically in that fashion.
Yeah, it's really tough to reach that number. Yeah. How about you?
A photograph of a GPO and a seal fighting.
That's a pretty cool.
So
So this here was our top performing post, 2016. And we got a lot of engagement with it. But if you see up here, I don't know if we have a pointer. Yes, 864 likes, quite a few shares, but you can see even a rock star doesn't guarantee you're gonna get 1,000 likes. All right, so a little bit about me. I built my first website in 1997. I'd worked for a small web design firm where we worked with basically mom and pop shops. And sitting across from me was the, I guess is before before SEO was coined, was a team that would guarantee you get top search results. And this was previous to Google, so it was Yahoo and Search Lycos or Get Lycos. But what they would do is we would build the website and give it over to the tech guys, and they would do their magic on it, and the next day these guys would show up #1 in Yahoo for certain keywords. And I remember that fascinated me. So I'd go over there and bug these guys, like, what are you guys doing that you can get this website? And it was just built to show up #1 on Yahoo. Well, come to find out what they were doing is black hat tactics. I don't know if anybody in here is familiar with black hat, but basically you're cheating the search engines. But this really dates back so far. This is the beginning of search engines and no one really knew what to do. But what they were doing is they were building ghostway pages. And really what that is we would build one, like the home page of a website. They would reproduce this one homepage maybe 1,000 times with like white text on it, so to speak. So people couldn't see it. It didn't show up in the search engines. But because there was so much content that just repeated itself out there, that the search engines would then find one of these thousands of pages that were actually just duplicates of another, and it would serve up the main page to the search engines. So basically, we were cheating the search engines to show up #1, and people were paying us a pretty penny to do that. So ever since then, that was really the spark that I got to get behind search marketing. And really from there, I've kind of stayed in the field of web design, graphic design, and search marketing. So best practices and processes, and really this goes back to what I was saying a while ago. What I want to talk to you today is primarily about best practices on social, and at the end kind of wrapping it all together and creating a process of that. Does that sound good? All right, nice. So the very first thing, and this is probably the most important thing on social media, is having balance. You know, a healthy balance between content creation and content curation is key. You can't just get on there and just talk about you all the time. You've got to find other people that are in your industry that have great content and share it to your audience. If you just post about you all day, people are going to get tired of that. So you need to find people out there that are in your industry talking and having good things to share and put that out there on your channels for your audiences as well. Second best practice is to be memorable. There's so much social noise out there. If you look at your Facebook feed, it's changing every second. There's so much going on that you need to be able to put something out there to stand out. So think about the questions that you're getting asked and try to answer those questions on social. Use this as a platform to be memorable, to stand out, answer the questions that are people that are having, be helpful, use social as a channel to give insights to people and to be helpful. Influencers. Is anybody in here using any type of influencers to help their business on social? Okay. So anybody else have used an influencer? So what that is first of all, it is the most effective strategy on social right now is to find an influencer who's relevant to your business and has a large following. So if there's someone in your industry that has a big following, and more important than just a big following is a big engagement. Someone can have 100,000 fans, but if they're only getting 100 shares or 100 likes, they don't have that engagement. So you want to find somebody that has a big engagement that's relevant to your business. And you need to reach out and just make a deal with them. And really what they're probably going to be looking for is more engagement with their social. So kick that off by liking some of the stuff that they're doing, sharing some of the stuff that they're doing, and engaging with them one-on-one, talking with them online and building up that rapport. And in due time, feel comfortable enough to reach out to them and see if you can't spark a deal, make something happen where they could then share your content. And if you can duplicate that, if you find somebody that has 100,000 followers and a lot of engagement, and then you can duplicate that 3, 4, 5, 6 times, that huge audience right there is going to be doing huge things for your business as well as far as getting eyeballs onto your pages. So think about that when you're thinking about some influencers. Pay to play. Is anybody here paying to promote their content on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter? You finding results with it? Okay, good. Lots of results.
Posted something 2 weeks ago, already on that 100 shares.
Okay, nice. Because if you remember just that very first slide, there's only 2% of your audience that's going to see your organic posts. So really the only way to get beyond that is to pay to play. So I'll give you a little history on Facebook. So prior to 2013, 100% of your audience or your fans could see your posts. But the end of 2012 is when Facebook went public, their IPO. And I don't know if you guys remember in the news, but everyone was expecting their IPO to shoot up. It did not. It stayed static for a while. And at the end of 2012, I think it was December 2012 through February 2014, their stock price rose from $32 to like $68 in that 2-month period. And that's when they introduced this boost. So they would shut down, they didn't go to 2%, I think it was about 20% of your fans would see your post. They shut that down so then you could boost your post to get a bigger reach on your audience. And actually today, just a couple of years later, I think their stock is about $120. And no longer are you getting 20% reach, you're only getting 2% reach. And I would expect that to be, if not 0, pretty soon. But really that's how you're going to get noticed on social, is to pay to play. All right, so that kind of ties into audience. Did you know that you could target a pregnant mother in her second trimester with 2 kids making $100,000 a year? So you can get very, very, very specific on the audience that you want to reach. So if your ad speaks to that, you can get your ad in front of the exact person that you're trying to reach. And I'll run through a little test campaign that we did earlier this year. What we wanted to do was to reach outside the diving industry and see if we could find people that were interested in diving and bring them in. So what this was a test campaign on the new diver acquisition. Our goal was basically to capture open water leads and hand those out to our dive centers. So what we did is we created an advertisement targeting the greater Chicago area, and we used snow skiing as our audience, and we directed all those clicks to a landing page. And the timing for this was right when the ski season was kind of ending, so everyone that was out in the mountains now, they don't have anything to do for the next 6 months or more. So that was the reason that we chose skiing. We created 2 ads. The first ad here is just a single skier and a single diver. The message here is you've flown down the mountain, now fly underwater. You get scuba certified anywhere in the world. And the second one that we created, going back to that targeted audience, we had a family here and then also a family divers. And we used both those different targets. We'd target men, and then we would women and men, and then we went after just families. In this next slide, I'll kind of show you some of those results. I don't know how well you can see that in the back. Can you see the details in the back? I'll kind of run through them here. So we've got the days of the week up here. This was a $1,000 spin that we did. This column here is the targets. This was our total reach, our spend, the engagement, ad clicks, and our cost per click. So on the very first day that we launched this campaign, again, this was in the greater Chicago area. We had a 100-mile radius around Chicago, and the target was anybody who liked or had interest in snow skiing. The age group was 15 to 51. So what we wanted to do was find a pretty broad audience, and the idea behind that is cast a big broad net at first, and then kind of squeeze that in to find the right audience. Our very first day that we launched that, we got out in front of about 23,000 people. Our spend was $186. We sent about 269 people to our website with 700 clicks. When we launched that the very first day, I was looking at these analytics that night, and if you see right here, is 98% mobile. So I didn't put any restrictions on if we wanted to show up in front of mobile or if we wanted to show up in front of a desktop, but I was a little concerned because we built this great landing page with all these great graphics, and it just had a great experience on a desktop, but 98% of all the traffic came from mobile. So I thought, well, hey, the next day, I'm gonna shut down mobile, and it's only gonna be served to desktops. So I changed the audience up a little bit. So instead of snow skiers, we targeted ski resorts like Breckenridge or Vail, and we kept the age the same. And I said, show this ad only to people on desktops. That really hurt, because that very first day we were spending 27 cents a click, but by excluding mobile, we went almost to $5 a click. So I got rid of that for the next day. And the Thursday, what we did, we got rid of the ski resorts, and we wanted to choose ski brands. So like K2, different brands within the skiing industry, kept the age the same. And this was a very similar day to our first day. About 500, actually it was double than our first day. 500 something people landed on our page. And at the bottom here, we had 7 leads that came in. So I'm gonna go back to day 1, we had 3 leads. Day 2, that was so expensive, 0 leads, 7 leads on Thursday. Now on Friday, this is the day that we changed up. We got rid of the first ad, and we wanted to target a more specific audience, this is the way we went after families that had 2 kids or more. And the results there, 34 cents a click. We converted about 1.87 or 1.9%. And again, even though that I opened back up desktop and mobile, we're still receiving all of our traffic was coming from mobile. So seeing this, the very last day on this spend, I just got outside the industry a little bit. We chose hiking, mountain biking, and surfing, and only chose men 26 to 47, so we kind of narrowed that age gap. And if we look down here, this was our most successful day. We got our clicks down to 14 cents a click, and we got our click rate up to almost 4.5%. So this is just a snapshot of some of the things that we learned, and in continuing this campaign, every day after this, our hopes were to get down to just a couple cents a click. So what does this mean? This is what it meant for us. We had 23 leads. The biggest takeaway that I had from this is our ask was greater than its perceived value. We were asking for an email, a name, and a zip code. And in turn, what they got is they got connected with a dive store that was in their general area. But they could have just gone on our website, looked up our locator, and found that on their own. So knowing that the ask that we were asking was greater than what they were going to give. So what that told us is we needed to create some type of educational funnel to qualify these leads. And what that means is instead of trying to go after the close right away, hey, sign up for this course right now, let's bring them into some type of drip campaign, like an education process. So the very first thing is if they are interested in, maybe I could just ask for an email, and then I could start a campaign where I send them 3 or 4 pre-built articles that's going to give them some education on diving, education on who we are, the process, what they can experience, and then maybe going through that education process, then they would be ready for a phone call from a dive center or an instructor. Does that make sense? All right, great. All right, post every day. Really here, the thing is to post consistently without overwhelming your audience. I'm gonna give you an example. This is an article that we wrote probably a month or 2 ago. How much does scuba diving cost? Now the resources that we put into this is the thought behind the article, the author, all the research that we did. So there's a lot of time invested in this. So just to post this one time on social, knowing that you're only gonna receive 2% organic and then you're gonna have to pay to get further, it seems like you're just spending a lot of time on the creative and not enough time on the promotion side. So what we can do here is we can turn this one article into about 5 posts. So, and I'm breaking that down here. So this first post is just the title. Post the title, put the creative behind it, put the landing page behind it, because you're gonna spend time on thinking what is going to be a good title for this article. So your first post should be just that. Post the title, how much does scuba diving cost? What we do is right when the article launches, we will post the title, and then maybe a few hours later, again, going back to all the noise that's on social, people aren't gonna see it. So a few hours later, we do our second post. And what you can do here is you sift through the content that you've created and look for maybe there's a question posted in there. So in this article, the question in quotes, have you ever wondered how much it costs to become a scuba diver? That became our post. Again, it went back to the landing page. So it's the same content, but we're just changing the message up a little bit. Third post, this could be a day later or a week later. Cite a fact that's inside the creative that you're putting. So a fact there, scuba diving can be divided into 2 costs, training and the equipment side. Maybe the second week could be your 4th post. If there's a quote in there, share that quote. Again, another way to reach out and push that same piece of content without having the same message on it. And the 5th piece here is just add intrigue. So inside our article, there was a little something in there talking about beware of the $99 course or the $199 course. So just add intrigue to that. So this is a way that you can create one piece of content and post it multiple times without recreating the same message. So again, title, ask a question, cite a fact, share a quote, and add intrigue. So lovers and haters. You need to be able to turn your haters into lovers and your lovers into ambassadors. So here's an example. This is United Airways. What had happened here, I can kind of read this to you, but these people addressed and actually tagged the airline in hopes for an answer. So what this first guy says here is, hey, never fly United Airlines. He's tagging United Airlines. 3 days lost bag. They said they found it, but they can't find it. They've actually tagged the airlines and it went unaddressed. United Airlines did not get back to him and say anything. The second one here, United Airlines is the absolute worst airline I've ever flown with. Word to the wise, pick another airline. Again, they tagged United here, but there was no response from the airline. Over here, United is, excuse me, one woman working at the United counter told us how horrible it is to work here, and she said Virgin Air is the only good airline executive. Between these 3 people and their reach was 375,000 followers. And that is a huge missed opportunity from the airline to engage with these people and right a wrong. So what you could do instead, and here's an example of what Southwest did in the same circumstance here. So this guy here had a bad experience with Southwest, so he tags Southwest and says, oi, this flight attendant is so negative, I think I should wear a tinfoil hat and block out her negative energy. Southwest saw this, engaged with Derek up here and said, oh man, your tweet is too funny to be painful, but I'm sorry you're having a bad experience, what flight? So they saw this as an opportunity to engage with this guy who's upset and turn that hater into a fan. And you can take this one step further, is when someone tags you and says something good about your business, what Virgin American did here is this guy, House, must have said something about the leg room, was very happy on his flight and tweeted it. So Virgin America tagged them back and said that we're so happy that you're having fun up there, electricity, scotch, what else could you need? So what this does, this acknowledges the voice of the customer and just shows appreciation. And this can go a really long way on social media. So analytics, is anybody in here using the data that they find from Facebook to make improvements and changes? All right, perfect. Just a kind of a quick snapshot of what insights. Is anybody familiar with this screen here? Do you see it on your Facebook pages? Okay, good. And as a business page, this is the insights section. So you can see each one of your posts, who you are targeting. You can see what kind of reach it had, what kind of engagement it had, and it gives you an area where you can boost that post. You can throw some money behind that. But this is something that you should be looking at, every few posts just to see what's doing good. So you can see these three here did not have the reach, nor did they have the engagement they did these first posts too. So what I would do is I would go back and look at these things here, see what we said. Did we pose a question? Did we cite a fact? What kind of image did we have here? I would study these two as well as these and try to do more of what's up here and less of what's down here. Be efficient. You can't spread yourself too thin. We're primarily on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can't jump in all social medias right now. If you spread yourself too thin, you're just going to get lost in all the noise. Find the social sites that make sense to you and your business and go in strong on those, and don't overwhelm yourself and try to get into each one of these sites and be effective on them. It's just not going to happen unless you have those resources. And remarketing. Anybody in here using the remarketing pixel to re-engage? No? You're using the remarketing? All right, so what this is here, I know you've all have seen it if you've been on Facebook and on websites, but this is all available to us to use. Someone visits your site, they get a cookie. And let me back this up. So to use remarketing, you're going to go to Facebook, you're going to log in, and you're going to grab a pixel, and you're going to place it on your website. So this pixel is going to live on all the pages on your website. So when someone visits your website, that pixel is going to be attached to them. What this allows you to do is to get marketed off of your website. So a person visits your sites, they get a tracking cookie, and they're going to continually see the ad that you want to place in front of them on social. And here's kind of an example here. So you visit Cole Haan, you're looking at a pair of shoes, you jump over on Facebook, those shoes follow you. Everybody's experienced that before? All right, really simple to do. Facebook Pixel, and if you just want to Google Facebook Pixel or remarketing, there's plenty of little tutorials out there, but basically just snag a piece of pixel, throw it on your website. Really effective strategy too. All right, so let's look back at those best practices. The first thing we talked about was balance. You gotta have that healthy balance between the content creation and the curation. Be memorable, you gotta stand out. There's lots of noise out there. You've gotta make sure that you're being helpful and insightful. Find influencers. Those are the guys that are gonna help you boost your audience and boost your, your voice on social. Pay to play, targeted audiences, post every day, lovers and haters, understanding your analytics, about being efficient and not spreading yourself thin, and remarketing. So if you can use those best practices in this checklist here is something that we use every day at our office to make sure we're doing the right thing. What this is every day we review what's working. So if we go back to that analytics that we just looked at, one of those last screens, we look and see what was performing well and what wasn't performing well, and we do more of what was working and less of what's not working. Use this every day when you log on. See if you have any messages in your inbox. See if anybody's asked you any questions or if there's anybody tagging you. This is also another great opportunity to schedule all your posts. So instead of just doing it, being reactive to something, sit down and plan out your post for the week or plan out your posts for the day. And the last thing to do, this goes on to that one of those very first screens that we were looking at, is listen to what people are saying. And if they're complaining about your business or making great compliments about your business, this is an opportunity here. Listen to what they're saying, and you can be proactive instead of reactive. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
I do have one. So if you post multiple times on Facebook, does it wash out the previous post?
No, I mean, no, not that I'm aware of, no, not at all. It's, again, you're getting, when we post as a business, I'm always looking on my own feeds to see how often it shows up. And it is very rare that I will ever even see, if I'm posting on SDI, TDI, or ERDI, on my personal side, I rarely ever see our stuff. So as far as I know, no, it doesn't wash out. It's just, it's getting such little reach, and maybe it does seem like it washes out. But
I was wondering, because like I posted a video that was receiving so much attention, and then a couple hours later, my business partner posted one. I immediately deleted it because I didn't want to wash out the previous one.
and what happened after you deleted it? Did you see more engagement back on that, or was it just?
Yeah, it was the same engagement on the previous post I had. But my mindset was, if that one's going, if there's two videos going at the same time, you know, it might limit the actual reach.
I've never heard that before. I mean, I'd definitely look into it. I mean, it sounds like it could be a plausible thing, but I've never came across that. Thank you. Anybody else? Hey, thank you guys very much for coming in and spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. All right, thank you.